And then acceptance of proposal and approval of the management services agreement with the Mule LLC for the restaurant and special events center at KickingBird Golf.
Brian's ready to do a short presentation on that.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Brian Soerensen, Director of Golf at KickingBird. Happy to announce this evening that we have finally reached an agreement for the management services of our restaurant and special event center. Early on in the process, we had all intentions of maybe trying to operate both of these facilities with KickingBird staff, but as we went along with the process and looked at what we were wanting to do, which was to offer a full-service restaurant with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which was different than what we used to operate, which was just breakfast and lunch, we looked at the opportunity of a potential partnership that might help us in that endeavor. So basically, I've got a few pictures here of the operating spaces that we have in our new facility. Highlights of our new restaurant operation, as I mentioned, they will be offering a full-service restaurant serving breakfast, lunch, dinner. The food will be of golf course fare, so we're going to keep the same type of food offerings, especially the KickingBird burger. For those of you that have eaten the KickingBird burger, the only reason a lot of people were coming to KickingBird was not because of the golf, but was because of our famous burger. The new clubhouse will feature 2 bars. The main restaurant will have a bar, and then, of course, the turn bar, which is the picture on the right, is where we will be servicing our golfers between holes 9 and 10 and after the round. The turn bar will also be servicing our driving range and our range entertainment pavilion customers as well. And what you're going to see with our operation is at the restaurant area, we're certainly going to want that to be more of a full-service restaurant, and we'll keep our golfers to the east side of the building, hopefully in the turn bar area, and then we have a very nice patio on the east of the building. Our proposed in-season hours of operation for the restaurant, we'll be opening the restaurant approximately 30 minutes before the first tee time, being able to serve breakfast to our early tee time golfers, and then, of course, closing at 9 p.m. And we hope to keep one of the 2 bars open till at least 10:30 p.m. in the evenings. And early on, when we expanded our driving range hours of operation, we visited with all of our neighbors, and we're not changing any of those operational hours. Lights will be going off on the driving range at 11 p.m. So we're not going any further into the night with our nighttime range operation or our driving range entertainment operation at this time. The golf course and restaurant will be open 363 days a year. The only 2 days of the year that we close are on Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day. Now, this is weather permitting. There may be a few circumstances if the weather gets bad. We've had those ice storms and such where we have had to close the golf course at those times. And then the Mule LLC will also be running our beverage cart operations, which will be out on the golf course servicing our customers. The newest and probably most exciting aspect to our new facility is going to be our special event center. You've heard me numerous times speak about the community aspect of this project, and this will be where we will host a number of our outside events. The Mule LLC will be providing our food and banquet services in the special event center, which does have a catering kitchen. And this will be where all of our golf tournament pre and post round functions will be taking place for all of our tournament functions. So where many of you may have been out to our facility when we're finishing up a tournament and there's really nowhere to sit or to go because we have so many players that are coming in from a large event, this will now be in a separate space. Let's see if I can get this pointer to work. This will be separate from where we're running our golf operations, so that will be a nice addition that we've got. And again, this space can be reserved for community events such as business meetings, high school reunions, wedding receptions, sports team banquets. Literally met with the president of the Edmond Women's Club this afternoon to show her our space, and she's anxious to start looking into when she can maybe start getting quotes and when we can start doing that. And I told him, perfect timing tonight. I'm going before City Council to approve this agreement because, of course, the Mule will have a lot of input into that. Some of you may or may not be familiar with the Mule LLC and their restaurants that they currently operate. They do have a facility down here in downtown Edmond, the Mule Edmond. Of course, they started at the Mule Plaza and then in the district downtown. And then, of course, the Press OKC is another restaurant that they do operate. And some highlights of the agreement overview that we're entering into this evening. We started this process with an RFP for management services back in July of 2022. We had many meetings between the Mule and city staff, and especially I want to say a big thank you to Madeline Sawyer. Steve, she has been very, very helpful through this whole process and spent a lot of time in getting us where we are at today.
Brian, what was the response like to that RFP?
Well, we had one. We had 4 interested parties that were in it, and then our Mule LLC was our single respondent to the RFP on that.
Does that concern you?
A little bit, but I tell you, the interest that was there leading up, and we met with management teams from 4 different restaurants. I think what it speaks to of me is their commitment to the golf course, because as you're going to see in one of my next little bullet points here, I think that there is a little bit of unknown. I don't want to speak for these guys, but that was a big part of it. What can the profitability of a restaurant be? They're in the aspect of running restaurants. We run golf courses. And we did look at a few facilities that are very, very successful in doing this. One of them's up in Kansas City, Club 27, that has been very successful in their endeavor. But when they are successful is when you do bring in the outside elements of the restaurant operation. So Kansas City Chief watch parties in our facility, OU watch parties. It's much grander than just a golf restaurant that we were used to running. So
Thank you.
very good agreement, we feel. This is a 5-year agreement with an annual review period each November so that any changes that need to be made between us and the Mule can be brought before the Edmond Public Works Authority prior to the next period that's going to be January 1st of the following year. And once the initial 5-year agreement has expired, which will be, and it's actually going to, first 5 years is going to expire in 2029. The next 5-year agreement that's in there would be through 2034. Is when we look to have that, and then hopefully 5 years after that. So hopefully in here for the long run, and I look forward to having Joey come up and speak on behalf of the Mule here in just a little bit. What the city will be receiving as part of this agreement, the Mule LLC will be paying the city of Edmond and KickingBird Golf a lease payment of $5,500 a month. There is also a gross revenue share built into this agreement, 5% for the first $1 million in sales, 6% from $1 million to $2 million, and then we go back down to 5% for anything over $2 million in gross revenues, and we did structure it based on gross revenues. Based on what we were talking about, a little bit of the unknown, and this is part of the negotiation process. We want to welcome them and become good partners with them. During this first period up to December of 2023, we must make they must make a minimum of $125,000 in a month for them to be responsible for paying for the revenue share. I will let them maybe speak a little bit to this. But there is a concern about the seasonality of our business, which if you've been in Oklahoma plenty of time, we are rocking and rolling from about March through October, and then November, December, January, February. Golf slows down a little bit. Hopefully with the special event center, we keep it going. But again, that was addressed, and they want to make sure they have plenty of cash flow in the bank to keep them through the slow period. And then one of the things that we will be doing on their behalf is we will be paying for all of their utilities, and we have provided the majority of the FF&E that is in the restaurant, the special event center, and of course the kitchen as well. And the one thing that, once again, they're very amicable to is this special event center was built to be able to house a lot of our tournaments, and so that will be first right of refusal. So I'll be working with the special events coordinator, and if I have an Edmond Chamber of Commerce tournament, for instance, coming in on a Friday afternoon, and I've already booked that tournament, a better, more profitable, let's say an outside event that wanted to come in and pay us a little bit more, I've already reserved it. It will not get trumped. So that's where we're going to have to work together, you know, as scheduling these facilities, but we want to make sure that we do honor the tournaments that we do have on the books already and doing that. And then finally, I have some really good news. I think some of you may or may not have heard. You know, unfortunately, I think it was the last council meeting I was here for a fairly large change order on the booster pump station, and there was a little bit of unknown, and we had to delay our opening, which was scheduled to be on May the 8th. We had a written commitment from our contractor, and he'll be able to turn the building over in a time frame that's going to allow me to open the facility. This will be both the golf course and the buildings on June the 30th. And that is super exciting for us. It's nice to have a date that now I can reach back out to all of my events that I unfortunately had to cancel because I was going to be unable to be open in May. We will get them rescheduled, and I do want to thank, and I think I mentioned this the last time, I want to thank all of those events, groups such as the Edmond Public School Foundation, AMBUCS, all these events we had booked, Proton Pals. I called them, and they were very understanding, and I really want to thank them. And they just said, will you just please call us when you have a date, because we want to get back on the calendar. And so that's nice that we can have those kind of commitments from them. So super excited about that. Are there any questions that you all may have of me before I turn it over to Joey from the Mule, that I'd like to have him say a few words as well?
So the restaurant itself, I'm assuming it's going to be open to the public, period. We
Public,
don't
period.
have to golf.
Right.
Don't
Do
have
not
to
have to
proof
golf.
of a green fee.
Exactly. And I think you're hitting on a very important point
Yeah.
there, Josh. Only very few people knew how good the food was at the old KickingBird restaurant. We had brunch crowds that would come after church
Yeah.
simply because they knew how good the breakfasts were. But many people, and you're hitting on a big deal that we're going to have to do a great job of marketing, is this is not just for golfers. And so many people think you have to be a golfer to come up and enjoy the facility. No, this is a community-based facility. And the best news about this new opening date is we're going to start to promote and market our Fourth on the Hill activity, which is not for golfers. We are the highest point in Edmond, second highest point in Oklahoma County, which I tout from time to time, but it is the best place to watch the fireworks, and where you just bring your chairs and your blankets and you come. And these guys, when we were talking about the timing of all this, we want to make sure they're comfortable in getting open, but this will be a great community event as well.
What is your signage like out on Danforth?
Right now, it is just based to be the KickingBird Golf sign only. And so that'll be a way we're just going to have to market it. I mean, and that might be a future discussion that we have. There are no plans to have a separate sign out there. But that could be something we could maybe look at to in the future, maybe add it to it. But it's going to follow the same form as I heard as an earlier council meeting agenda item tonight. The same look as the Edmond signs in the area. It's just going to be KickingBird Golf, just like the tennis center is as well.
I was thinking those exact same things, and I thought, I live north of town, so it's really going to be fantastic that we can just zoom over there and have dinner. And, I golfed too, so I knew about that, but this is nice having the Mule there.
It's going to be a restaurant.
And it's
on that side
advertising
of
is going to
town.
be the key, because actually, during those slower months, there's less people there. You can get in, not have to wait, sit down.
Well, it's going to be great, and that's where these guys are going to come in, and I think we will, as you're saying, build it upon, because that's where I'm going to have to educate my golfers as well. We're trying to keep the restaurant for the patrons of the restaurant, and the turn bar is for us golfers. We've been out playing for 4 hours. We don't smell so good. We're out there figuring bets and doing stuff on the east patio. Wonderful outdoor facility, and again, trying to keep that to where the families and everybody enjoying meals.
Yeah,
and we're out on
I've
the
found
side.
they're kind of trying to, because Bondi Bowls is in Edmond Center Court.
Yes.
And they're, it's a great fit. It's a wonderful fit for tennis players and hot days, but they're really trying to figure out even drive-through of the people that aren't playing tennis that just want a Bondi Bowl in that area of town. And it's been a year or more, and they're still trying to figure things out.
Right.
So I would, I have no doubt that you will be just flexible on those things, whether it's signage or how do we engineer a drive, not build a drive-through and all
Right.
of that, but is there flow things to think about or timing things to think about, and just because it's been happening at Edmond Center Court too.
Right. And there are a few other facilities, and I will turn it over to Joey, but just like Jimmy Austin down in Norman, they have a private contractor that works with them on their food and beverage,
Okay.
Forest Ridge up in Tulsa. So there are some facilities that we can absolutely learn from, but again, these can't wait to work with these guys. They're very enthusiastic. They're ready to hit the ground running. We've had to kind of tell people, hey, not yet. We can't start reserving meeting spaces yet, because we're going to start working together
Yeah.
and get everything planned out. So
Brian, before the Mule comes up, are they going to have some limited dedicated parking in the parking lot?
And at this time, we do not have dedicated restaurant-only parking. We did increase our parking spaces from 168 to 207, plus we have the connection down to the pickleball side as well. So we'll have probably some pickleballers coming up and maybe
Nobody's
us
going
going
to follow
down.
those rules.
So,
Follow the signs.
Gotta ask the question.
well, but I will tell you that, again, that could be something. But again, back to what you're talking about, a lot of theirs, and I was shocked in our negotiations, 30% of their sales is the Grubhub, the
Takeout.
the Uber Eats, and that just shocked me.
Yeah.
People just come by, pick it up, and leave. There'll be a wonderful opportunity to do that, because if you've been out to the new facility, there is that pull-up drive that's really meant for only cart traffic, but those are some allowances we've talked about get the customers closer to there.
Yeah, I'd be ready for it. I
Yeah,
would.
exactly. And we'll definitely work through that. So,
I think they're going to be super successful
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
area.
Well, I certainly hope so.
Things out there.
I think just getting there, people knowing that they're there.
exactly. Any other questions of me?
No.
Before I turn it over, just a few words from Joey.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Brian. Well, he's coming up empty-handed. I don't see any cheese curds or nothing like that.
appetizers
So,
or sandwiches to offer. I'm Joey Morris, Mr. Mayor and the council, one of the owners of the Mule, and myself and one of my partners, John, we grew up in Edmond. We graduated high school from here, and we know what KickingBird means to the residents and the community, and we're just really excited about this opportunity just to get to work and just build a good customer base and serve those golfers and bring people in and do a great job. So we're really excited.
we're excited that,
Yeah.
that you're here. Excited that the communication is going back and forth. The flexibility is going to be there to figure out, let's make this thing successful.
It's
Serve
been
the northern
great.
part of the community.
Right.
Yep.
So
It's
true.
been great. So, yep.
You get my family's money every Friday night.
Well, yes,
downtown.
thank you. And again, thank you for I think it's to be maybe understood, the concern that people have of us being successful is helpful, and it makes us feel like part of the community. We're really excited. So we appreciate y'all's, concern and thinking about us too. We really appreciate that. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, great fit.
Thanks.